Hey there guys, I'm back to another game review. Today we'll be taking a look at one of the PlayStation 4 launch titles, Knack. Knack is a platforming beat-em-up that is typically perceived as a bad game. I picked Knack up early 2015, saying mistakes might have been made. Around that time, I only had The Last of Us Remastered and Infamous Second Son on my PS4, so I was like, let's see if Knack is really that bad. I only got up to the third chapter within the game before I put the game down entirely. I only recently picked it back up just so I could go and do this video. So is Knack as bad as I remember it being? So let's start with the story, and the story is super generic. It's not that interesting whatsoever. It's so uninteresting that I didn't even pay attention to most of it, but from what I can gather, it's just a story about the good guys stopping the bad guys. The story has no real depth within the characters as well. Like, I didn't feel anything for these characters because they're all one-dimensional, good guys and bad guys. Like, you have the generic rich villain, you have the goblins, and then you have the people who are goblins but not really goblins. And then on the good guys, you got Knack, who is not interesting whatsoever, the doctor, who has some sort of subplot within the game, which can be interesting to some, the assistant, who's sort of just like there, and then the uncle, who does things, but yeah, the story is just not that compelling. And the way the plot is laid out, it's super predictable, especially towards the end of the game. The story of Knack is not strong at all, with its bland characters and simple plot. Alright, so the story isn't all that great, but what about the gameplay? If you asked anyone who's played Knack, even briefly, they'll most likely say the game is pretty hard. I played the game on normal because I already knew about the criticisms about the difficulty going in, and playing through this grueling 10-hour adventure, it's pretty much mashing the square button while trying to dodge enemy attacks with the right analog stick. It doesn't get that much more complicated than that, really. You'll want to dodge enemy attacks because enemies will either one-shot you or take more than half your HP away. Even when you collect more relics to increase your health pool and size, they'll probably still one-shot you still because enemies scale with your size. There are also platforming bits here and there, but they're not that complicated whatsoever. Basic platforming, all things considered. The checkpoints within this game could have been improved within certain segments. They just throw too many enemies at you at times, which make it difficult to get to that next checkpoint. Because enemies can take more than half your HP away with one hit, I find myself dying on purpose just to restart the section because of these bad checkpoints. You do have a special move to use when pressing the circle button, then square, triangle, or circle. The square special is a tornado, the triangle special is a missile barrage, and the circle special is a shockwave. They're pretty useful, especially when there's a lot of enemies on screen, but the meter fills up so slowly. You need to break these yellow crystals, which is fine, but it gives you so little of the meter, it feels worthless sometimes. If the meter fills up upon killing an enemy, that would have solved this problem, or adding more crystals throughout the level. There are also no invincibility frames within this game, so if you get hit by an enemy, you could definitely get wombo comboed by another enemy, which could be very frustrating. The boss fights within this game are just very tedious and not really all that fun. They don't give you a health bar for the boss fight, which is really dumb. Like, you won't even know if you're even close to the end of the boss fight. The later half of the game does get a little bit more fun, I'm not gonna lie, because Knack does get really big, which makes it easier to take out enemies slightly. Overall, there's just a lot of flaws within the gameplay. The checkpoint placement is pretty bad, the underutilization of the special move, the lack of invincibility frames when getting hit, and the boringness of the combat. Literally just mashing the square button over and over again and using the right analog stick to dodge occasionally. The game director, Mark Cerny, describes the game as a little bit like Crash Bandicoot and a little bit like Katamari Damacy with a touch of God of War in there. I mean, I've never really played Katamari Damacy, but I think I can get what he's saying with Knack getting bigger in size with more relics he collects. But going back to the Crash Bandicoot and God of War comparison, the God of War combat was a lot more interesting than this game. Like, you're just mashing the square button with a Knack. At least within God of War, you have combos to do with light and heavy attacks. In this game, I wish there was a heavy attack button instead of just me mashing the square button over and over again. And the Crash Bandicoot comparison, I guess that's where it gets its difficulty. I'm not exactly sure, but even the platforming bits are not as interesting or as exciting and fun as they were within Crash Bandicoot. And overall, it just wasn't executed all that well. Like, you're saying there's a touch of God of War in there, but a majority of this game is you just beating enemies up. There's not a lot of platforming within this game, really. Like, they definitely try to market this game towards kids, but the difficulty and boringness of the combat will make any kid not want to play this game fully. The gameplay is decent at best, but could have been improved within so many areas. Presentation wise, it's okay, pretty much. Like, the graphics, the voice acting, the music, etc., it's all done at a level where it gets the job done. It's not horrible or spectacular, but it's good enough. So, is Knack worth your time and money? If you've been watching this review, no. The price of Knack nowadays is still around that $20 range, and for how the game is played out, it's around 10 hours, which is not that bad. Like, it's a lot longer than I expected, but the game itself is just boring and bland. Knack has no real identity compared to these other 3D platformers, so yeah. But Knack 2, on the other hand, I'm not gonna lie, it does look like a lot better in terms of, like, as a game itself. They are improving a lot in terms of the difficulty, the platforming bits, the combat, like everything that I've seen of Knack 2 so far actually does look a lot better. So yeah, that is my review of Knack. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have not already, you can subscribe. I put new videos up every single Saturday. Want to find my social media, Facebook and Twitter. I put updates of my future videos on there. Want to follow my Twitch page, twitch.tv/tvsonicgaming. I should be streaming today and tomorrow around 5 p.m. EST, playing some Splatoon 2. Want to come by, hang out. I am totally down to play with some of you guys, some of my viewers. So yeah, if you guys want to come by, chill, I'm definitely down. So yeah, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video again. Now, see you guys next time with more videos. Game on, gamers.